We had another question come in. Can you please elaborate on the quote, the purpose of justice is the appearance of unity amongst men?
Yeah, so this is something I'm in awe of that quote, because I think it provides a sort of way forward that we live in a time of, on the one hand, there have been great advances that you could say that humanity is more prosperous than it's ever been. But on the other hand, the injustice, the disparity is laid bare before our eyes. We see it, and we all have the ability to take a video when we see injustice, to write an article about injustice that we see, to analyze the data that's out there. All of that illuminates injustice, and that we cannot go around and pretend like we are united as long as there is injustice. And so what does injustice look like? Injustice looks like racism. It looks like the data on prison populations. It looks like a lot of laws that we have in place that allow for the perpetuation of pain and white supremacy and injustice. And so if we want unity, we need to step back from that word. And, you know, one example, in my generation, we grew up saying, well, I just want to be nice to everybody. I'm colorblind. I don't see race. I was raised to just be nice to everybody. And what the quote from Baha'u'llah teaches us, that the purpose of justice is the appearance of unity among men, is saying that, well, that's not true. Because one other thing, it's hard, sometimes it takes layers stepping back. Another principle of the Baha'i faith is the harmony of science and religion. And so science, neuroscience, there's incredible advances in neuroscience that help me understand these teachings in a more full way. So the science of the brain tells me that, in fact, our brain registers bias within 0.2 of a millisecond. That yes, in fact, we do see race, but then we have the rest of the 0.998 of the second, just in 1 second in time, to override that bias. And so our brains have the power to be trained. We know that we register bias, we see color, but then we know we can override that bias if we have awareness that we are able to do that. So we're not stuck in a place of bias. We don't have to be. And I think that's one of the beauties of what Baha'u'llah teaches us, is to love humanity, to see humanity as the flowers of a garden. And so when you see the diversity of humanity and you start off as a child being raised to love that diversity, that's what part of this process of neighborhood development is to teach kids to overcome their bias and love mankind for its diversity. Then we can start to build, that's on a personal level, but on a societal level as well, we can start to build justice. So I'm not colorblind, but I do know that I can override my bias with deliberate effort. And so I want to realize unity, but I know I have to step back and work for justice.